Let's go through another example of solving a linear equation for x. Whenever an equation includes fractions, as in this example, it is best to eliminate them first. We do this by finding a common denominator and multiplying each term of the equation by this value. The common denominator is 6 in this example, so we multiply each term by 6. The resulting equation, 2x minus 3 equals 6x, no longer contains fractions and will be much easier to work with. The next step is to isolate the x terms on one side of the equation. Since it is best to try to end up with a positive coefficient for x, let's move the x terms to the right side. To do this, we subtract 2x from each side of the equation. This leaves us with the x term alone on the right side of the equation. The next step is to divide both sides of the equation by the coefficient of x, which in this case is 4. This gives us the final solution for x, which is negative 3/4. Let's go through a different example in which we solve the quadratic equation x squared equals 6x minus 8 for x. The first step in attempting the solution of a quadratic equation is to move all of the terms to one side of the equation. In this example, we must subtract 6x from each side and add 8 to each side. This leaves us with a quadratic equation in standard form that is ready to factor. Can you find two factors of 8 that add to negative 6? The factors we need are minus 4 and minus 2. The last step is to set each linear factor equal to 0 and solve for x. Because this is a quadratic equation, we will get two solutions. In our example, we find that x is equal to 4 and 2. The quadratic formula is used often, so it is worth memorizing. The proof shown here was based on the complete the square technique of factoring. This technique involves squaring half of the x coefficient. Let's try an example in which solving a quadratic equation for x might be easier using the quadratic formula. This quadratic equation will not factor easily. There are no integral factors of negative 2 that add up to negative 3. Since our quadratic equation is already in standard form, we can determine the values of a, b, and c to use in the quadratic formula. Be very careful as you substitute values into the quadratic formula. Pay particular attention to the plus and minus signs. The rest of the solution is shown here. Notice that there are two solutions, because this is a quadratic equation. For many problems, the solution using the radical symbol is enough. But for trig, we will probably need to use a calculator to find an approximate.